is the BS.
Welcome to another Audacy check-in. My name is Jason Bailey, and once again have the honor of being with an artist and a guy that is near and dear to my heart. Multi-platinum album selling band that is Shinedown, currently on tour with Papa Roach and Spirit Box. Definitely talking about this current single, which is amazing, a symptom of being human, off the latest album, Planet Zero. It is the one and the only Brent Smith. How are you, brother?
What's going on, man? I had to strap in for this interview because I knew it was going to be you. So I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Let's rock.
You do make your rounds. You know, it's good to see you out there and doing national television and doing a lot of interviews and promoting kind of what, you know, just to jump in with this song is, which is near and dear. And you know, for those that are listening, I highly suggest that, you know, if you're on social media, or even if you're not, you should follow not only Brent but Shinedown, because you guys, especially you, Brent, do a really, really, really good job of using your platform for a positive, and that's talking about mental health.
Yeah.
We here at Audacy feel the same way. You know, we have the audacy.com/I'm listening for those that have questions, need some help, need to find somebody to speak to. And this current single, A Symptom of Being Human, that's pretty much what it is, right?
I mean, it's a very interesting song because it's also a part of a very interesting record. You know, Planet Zero, me and you have talked about this before. The album was written in the midst of a pandemic when people were just confused and afraid and scared and kind of didn't know what tomorrow was going to bring and what have you. So like when we finally got into the room together during that time, I think the biggest focus that I looked at and the band looked at was, how do we present something that is pure awareness of the fact that, listen, we're all human beings and we're all a work in progress. And we're a band that's been talking about mental health for the better part of 2 decades before it was like necessarily in the media, or that it was in, you know, certain headlines and what have you. And thankfully now it's talked about much more. And A Symptom of Being Human is exactly that. We just tried to put ourselves, because we were all going through it at the same time, what the world was going through during that pandemic. And obviously we've come out of it. And I think that we're much, much stronger as a society because of it. But at the same time, you got to remember, we all share a bond with one another. We all share the human condition. And it, you know, listen, the way that we look at things, especially in the rock and roll community, it doesn't matter. In our community, man, it is anyone from anywhere at any time is welcomed all the time. And even if it's a total stranger, you know, sometimes just asking a person how they're doing, or if you notice a friend of yours or a family member or something of that nature, and you can just kind of tell that something is off behind the eyes, the worst thing you could do is be quiet. You know, you want to ask them, like, what's going on? You can talk to me. It doesn't matter what it is. Let's talk it out. And I think for Symptom, that's what it was. We tried to create a song that let everybody know, create a song to let the world know, A, you're not alone. And inside of that, you know, the balance that we have when we're writing this song is that we want people to understand that they're not alone, and you're allowed to have as many human moments as you need in your lifetime.
Yeah. Well, what about the feedback from the Shinedown audience? And they not, it's not only this song, but you speak out about this often, which is great again. But there are other Shinedown songs that can, you know, strike a chord with people with this conversation. What kind of feedback do you get from those?
I'll be honest with you, Jason. I mean, we get some really, really heavy stuff. You know, we've had people come up to us in the last 20 years, extremely emotional and extremely very open with us, to the point of where they've said that the band has saved their life and the music has saved their lives. I've had parents come up to me before and say that the music that we write brought their teenage son or their teenage daughter kind of back to life, and you know, back to them. And it's, whenever you're talking about those types of things, I often will tell people, I started writing songs not because I wanted to be famous. I started writing songs because I had something to say, but also it was cheaper than therapy. So,
Yeah.
for me, it was always just about getting it out of, my mind. And I've always been able to like put the lyrics into what needed to be, whatever the message was of that song, convey it in the most honest way possible. So you have songs like, going back to the first record, I mean, I remember the intensity of how the world kind of viewed 45, Burning Bright,
Mhm.
the confidence that Fly from the Inside, being our first single, and what that whole song is about, which is, Fly from the Inside was all about go after it, man. But like whatever it is, don't be focusing on a plan B, for your lifetime. And while you're here, as we move into certain things, I think about Attention, Attention, and that album. Get Up was a huge song about the perseverance of understanding that it's okay to fail. As a matter of fact, you need to fail as much as you possibly can. It's what teaches you what to do next time. It educates you, because your life and your legacy is not going to be built by failure. Your life and your legacy is built by the fact that you refuse to give up. So yeah, I mean, the music over the years, and just to see how empowering it is for our audience to continuously be growing. It's very much 8 to 80. You see a lot of people from a lot of walks of life at our shows, which is probably one of the things I'm the most proud about with Shinedown. Is like literally anyone from anywhere at any time. Like I was saying, everyone's welcome, and also just being a band that's on their seventh record, and our audience is allowing us to evolve and be ourselves and not make the same record over and over again. But triumph has always been a big part of what we do in this band. It's why I named the band Shinedown. Sometimes you shine, sometimes you're down. Everything that's good has a little bit of bad, and everything that's bad has a little bit of good. It's like a yin yang. It's all about balance.
Right. Well, and also, if anybody, I've been with you guys obviously from the very beginning, and I've seen
You have.
the band grow, but you in particular, I mean, you're a gym rat now. Like every day, you're sweating your ass off and you're posting pictures of you in the gym. And, I guess from looking from the outside in, Brent, I guess I want to know when all that became habit for you. The mental health, the gym, the health, the exercise, the whole nine, because you're a totally different person, as we all are, than we were 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's the hope, is that we evolve and we understand that. And I got to a place where I think a lot of it for me happened when my son was born. My son's going to be 16 in December, and he is literally the most important thing in my life. And he's an incredible young man, and I'm unbelievably, well, actually, I'm so, so proud of him and the man that he's becoming. But he had a lot to do with it, because I just kind of looked at that, and that moment in time where I was going to be a father, and I said to myself, well, I'm no good to him if I'm dead. And I was doing a lot of bad things. My past is pretty much out there. You can look me up, and I have issues, and I have a history with substance abuse, and I've never hid that from anybody. I don't necessarily talk about it a lot. If people will ask me about it, I'll go into it with them. But that's the one part of my life that I have to do one day at a time. That's the one part of me where I can multitask, and I can compartmentalize, and I can schedule things for the future and lay certain things out, and be an artist and be a businessman, and do all those things and evolve as a human being, professionally, personally, and all that. But my addiction and that other guy that's in me, um, I have to respect the fact that that's a part of who I am. And a really, really special person in my life, a really good friend of mine, a few years ago, when I was really finding my sobriety and finding the gym and getting myself in shape, she said something to me that I think she kind of put me on a course for success, because she made me understand, like, look, you can't outrun this guy that's in your head. It doesn't work that way. But what I will tell you is, you are way more dangerous when you're sober. And for whatever reason, man, when she said that to me, a light bulb went off, and it's a young lady that I was involved with, a few years ago, named Teresa, who's still a huge part of my life, is a good friend of mine. We still have, a wonderful friendship with each other, even though we're not together anymore. And she's an incredible individual. But I really think about that when she said that to me. That's kind of like when the switch went off, when she said, "Yo, man, when you're clear-headed and focused, like when you're sober, like that's when you're the most dangerous."
And that
And that's
and
kind
your
of how I live.
yeah, and your story, Brent, is resilience. Again, being there with you guys from day one to watch the band grow, especially you, is personally, I love seeing artists with such a huge platform like yourself being open about all of this. And then it's a happy, not ending because it hasn't ended, but it's a happy road from here on out. So I'm a Shinedown fan and I'm following Brent on social media. Following Shinedown. I'm seeing you in the gym and I'm seeing you talk about getting help. I'm seeing you put lyrics out there like a symptom of being human and going, wow, this guy's a rock star and he's going through the same stuff that I'm going through.
Yeah, but I guess I've always, you've known me a long time. I've always had I can take the compliment with the whole rock star thing, but I'm more of a performer. But if I am a rock star, I'm only a rock star for like the 2 hours I'm on stage. That's the other thing. Like you have to have a sense of humility, in this lifetime. And I think for me, the gym became something that I just looked better. I felt better. And I was like, well, I used to do stuff that made me feel good that was bad for me. And I can do this. And it actually makes me feel better. It makes me feel better about myself. It makes me look better. And I can think straighter and I'm a lot more locked in and I'm focused. And I encourage anybody out there, if they're looking at themselves in the mirror and they're just like, you know what, this ain't gonna work. Like I gotta do something. Just remember this: Rome was not built in a day. You got to do it one day at a time. It'll happen eventually. Like for me, that's how I had to do it. At my heaviest and probably my worst shape, I'm 5'8". Man, I weighed 223 pounds at one point in time, and that was 36% body fat.
Oof.
And I ended up like, it took me about a year to do it, but I ended up losing 70 pounds. And then, and I have like, my weight will fluctuate from time to time. Your diet is going to be a huge part of that. But I also tell people about that. Once you get to your kind of fitness goal and where you want to be at, you got to maintain it. If you want chocolate cake, have a piece of chocolate cake. Just don't have it every day. If you want a cheeseburger, it's fine. Just don't eat it every day.
If memory serves, wasn't it one of the guys in Three Doors that got you in the gym originally?
Brad Arnold, I watched his transformation going back now it would be like 20 years.
Yeah.
And he's maintained it. And man, he's still in incredible shape. And he is still one of the most humble, wonderful human beings on the planet. But yeah, like I remember watching him in the very, very beginning and seeing that. It wasn't really until the Amaryllis album cycle is where I really decided to start dedicating myself to fitness and just nutrition and really learning how to exercise properly, how to eat right. And I've just maintained it.
How do you deal with milestones like the debut album Leave a Whisper celebrating its 20th anniversary back in July, amassing over 1.2 billion, that's with a B, US streams? How do you process that?
You'll get me emotional, like for real. God, man, I'm grateful. Holy moly. This is all I ever wanted to do since the moment I was a kid. Like I remember entering the earth, and I told you I was gonna get emotional. Shoot. I gotta get myself together here. From the moment I entered the earth, all I ever wanted to do is what I'm doing now, what the people have allowed me to be able to do. Like again, going back to, I don't mean to be long-winded about it or say it over and over again, but the audience has just allowed us to evolve and to be ourselves because we want them to do the same thing. We want to empower them. But if I think back to all those bands in the beginning too that we kind of came up with, some of them are still here and some of them aren't. Just really, really thankful that we're able to do it. But at the same time, man, we don't phone it in. We don't go in there. We don't go in with like this agenda of, oh, let's just see what happens.
Mhm.
It's all or nothing,
Yeah.
because the fan base doesn't deserve any less, and you've supported us from day one. And man, my allegiance to terrestrial radio will always be there, no matter what, because I understand streaming and all those aspects of, what happens, and the way that the consumership changed, and how we listen to music, and what have you. And streaming service has been wonderful to us, but terrestrial radio is the one that's been there from day one. And a multi-formatted band, a band that's been on top 40, hot AC, alternative, rock, you name it, and have always been welcomed with open arms, as long as the songs were good. As long as the songs were good, you know, the radio would play us. So, a lot of gratitude, man.
Do you remember that night you got your first gold record?
Oh yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, that was the biggest shock, and it was so wonderful to be able to do that in Orlando with you, with JRR. Just you being technically the very first person to play the very first single from the band.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe you were the very first person going back 20 years, as far as a person that actually put it into the computer and logged a spin. I think you were first.
Well, I think that's why the two albums behind me were sent to me from you guys.
Well, there's that.
that's
There's
that's
that.
that's the gold and the platinum from Lee Wizard. And I remember that night, and there was it was I was told to interrupt the set so
Yeah.
we could do this, and I felt so uncomfortable. I was like, I wouldn't want somebody to interrupt my show, But it was right after you guys had this young man who I believe was deaf, and he was playing guitar, and it was
Blind.
was he blind? Yeah, and it
Blind.
was the most amazing thing, because there was a guy behind him like patting him on the back for the beats. But you guys have always been that band. You like, somebody wants to come up and you bring them up, and this is their dream come true to be with Shinedown. You guys you've done personal favors for me with people that were about to leave us, and they had some last wishes and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and that was the night of the gold record. I remember vividly. I remember it really, really well. This tour with Papa Roach and Spirit Box, I mean, you guys just constantly tour. When are you going to, take a break and maybe just chill or go back to writing for the next album, or you do that on the road?
So, if I'm being honest with you, the biggest thing that's being developed for next year is the international plan and the new record, for the 2 years that we'll be doing in 2025 and 2026. Like, we're kind of starting to do things way out in advance, and how we're kind of being strategic and putting things together. We're going to take a minute to be with our families, and to kind of come down for a second. We get most of November, we're going to be at home with our families, still doing some business here and there, but the industry ain't going anywhere. And we've been working really hard on this record, on this album cycle. I think that everybody, from a mental standpoint, speaking of mental health, I think everybody needs to be with their loved ones. Not that we don't love each other, because we do. I mean, but I think November, holidays, December, we've got some downtime. We got a couple of shows that we're doing. We're doing one show in December on the 29th at Foxwood in Connecticut. We're actually doing something super, super cool for Audacy. We're doing Live at the Vineyard, November 1st through the 3rd. And then November, we're going to be chilling with the family, just being present with everybody. And then when January hits, man, we're lot of negotiations, lot of strategic planning, like I said, for 25 and 26.
Well, let's be honest. There's only so much you can take a Zach at one time, right? You got to take a break.
You said it.
I'm joking. Totally joking. He's one of the greatest guys ever. It's a joke. I recently saw an interview. It was I think you and Jacoby from Papa Roach and the singer for Fox as well. And you guys were talking about the set lists for this upcoming tour. And there was a moment in the interview, I forget who it was. I'd like to give him credit, but it was really cool. It was in like a garage or something. And it was very well done, mind you. And And you talked about adding and subtracting songs. I mean, you guys have such a catalog now. And every time I talk to you, I want to hear, better version from Leave a Whisper, which
As soon as we do that, you know what? If we do, like, we're gonna have to figure that out. You will hear that song live one day, I promise.
But do you sit around the night of and go through it, or is it or just add songs here and there? What do you do?
The one where we're at right now is pretty choreographed. Like it kind of stays the way it is. We've moved a couple of things, a couple songs around. You're not wrong, man. I mean, there's 31 singles between 7 records. And so you have to kind of pick what markets you're playing, what cities you're playing, what country you're playing, where were people, what album have people been listening to the most. Like we're very inside of it also. But at the end of the day, Jason, I'll be honest with you, man, like you kind of just go off instinct. Like we know what songs people want to hear. We know the ones they want to hear. Can you get them all done every night? Can you do 31 singles in a night? Not at the moment. But we still do 20. It's a 20-song set.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we try to give everybody like I'll give you an example. The tour that we're doing right now, it wasn't a single, but we're playing the song Amaryllis because Zach wanted to play it because it was one of those songs like Call Me on the Sound of Madness album. It wasn't a single, but it has a huge reaction. And so we're like doing that and, just moving things around. And you have to also, when you're building a show like the one that we're doing right now, it's a big production. And with having Spirit Box there, which is mind-blowing for me every night because they're my favorite band right now. I just think they're incredible. And me and Jacoby have known each other for so long, and they just really stepped up their production on this tour. So you kind of have to choreograph it when you're dealing with this much production. You got to have a little bit more consistency night after night.
Do you ever feel a little good competition? Papa Roach, they've never not done a great live show.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
1,000%.
You feel that?
Well, me and Jacoby talk about it. You want that. Like that's when bands truly, doesn't matter what kind of genre of music it is, doesn't matter. When bands tour with each other, because the bands that are touring together make each other better night after night, because there is this healthy camaraderie, but there's this healthy competition. Like, I'm coming for you tonight. You know what I mean? Like, and it's all super positive out there, but yeah, I'm still like the kid. You gotta understand, I'm a massive Papa Roach fan from like the beginning. So the fact that I'm even out there with one of my heroes is mind-blowing for me. And to be able to pay it forward with Spirit Box and bring them out and put them in front of a different audience, so that their audience can grow as well. Honestly, man, it's one of my favorite tours that we've ever done. And we had a great tour earlier this year with From Ashes to New and 3 Days Grace. And then on the Planet Zero cycle in the beginning, like last year when the album came out, we went out with Diamante and the Pretty Reckless, and that was amazing. Then we took our boy Jelly Roll out with us and John Harvey in the fall of last year. We've been lucky, man. Like it's all like everybody is always bringing their A game every night. We've been fortunate.
Could you do Last Resort if you were put on the spot?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
All right. Well,
yeah. Just ask me.
Okay, so I'm going to bring a sign to Vegas when I go see you. I'm going to be in the crowd. Brent, do Last Resort. So I'm going to be the guy.
Hey, man, be careful what you wish for.
Tell me about the Blue Ridge Festival. One of the most viral moments in the past month, where you guys and Papa Roach were playing this festival that, God decided he had other plans, and weather kind of screwed things up for your guys' set. So you decide to walk out without microphones or speakers or any electricity and sing to what looked like thousands of people. Whose idea? How did that start? What was the catalyst?
So I had been talking to Oliver Anthony via text,
Mhm.
and I spoke with him. I think it was the day before he did the Joe Rogan show,
Mhm.
and he told me he was going to do Blue Ridge, and I was like, well, we're doing it on the Saturday. And he's like, well, I'm coming in doing it on the Friday. I'm going to stay. He was planned on staying the whole time. So I said, well, come to our compound when we come in on Saturday. Like, get there like 11:30 in the morning. Bring everybody out. And so we show up to Blue Ridge. I was talking to him, the night before, a couple of nights before that, what have you. So this was going to be the first time that we actually met one another face to face. And he brought his family with him. He brought the dogs with him, and we were just hanging out on the bus, waiting on the kind of the report of the weather and what was going to happen, if they were calling certain things or pushing certain bands back. But it was so awesome, man. We had like 25 people on the tour bus. We all had our guitars out. We were just playing, just getting to know each other. Because I said to him, I was like, come up on our set and do Richmond, north of Richmond during our set, because we were a headliner, and then sing and do Simple Man with us too. And
Uh-huh.
he was like, for real? And I'm like, yeah. And so while all that's going on, the reason I preface that is because so tour manager, our security, Ed and John, come up. It's probably noon at this point, 1 o'clock. And they're like, they called it. I'm like, called what? And they're like, they called it, man. I'm like, the whole thing? And they said, yeah. And I got no bones with anybody there. And I honestly, look, at that time, we were all just kind of like, well, that sucks. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Um, and to answer your question, it was Eric.
Was it?
Eric came up to me and he was like, I'm not hanging out for 14 hours and not playing some music. Like, we got to figure something out. So we had John and Eric, or Eric had John and Ed, our tour manager, go out on golf carts, survey the area, and we were like, just find a platform or find a body of land somewhere where we can just kind of go. We know there's no PA, there's no, it's just going to be campfire, and just find something. Lo and behold, they went out, they came back in they were out for like 30 minutes, and they came back, and there was this little platform, because they held the concert at a raceway.
Mhm.
So there was like this barricade of tires, and then there was like this little wooden gazebo and like a little wooden platform next to it that you could put probably like 8 people on. And so Eric got everybody from Papa Roach. I went up to, me and Oliver looked at each other, and I was like, you want to play? And he was like, hell yeah, let's go. And we just got in 4Runners and golf carts. Not one incident, not one issue at all. Just very, very calmly made our way there. And it was a little bit kind of like the movie Field of Dreams. It was like, as people saw us kind of going over there, and then there was one kind of gate entrance, and I was kind of walking the gate, letting people know, just come in over here. We're going to play for you. And there was probably 7,000 that ended up being out there. And it was one of the coolest experiences ever, because, music brings everybody together. But I
Yeah.
mean, it was a united front from all of us, from Oliver to, us and Shinedown to Jacoby, and, all the guys in Papa Roach and our staff. And honestly, the people at Blue Ridge, I give a lot of credit to the people there. They were super respectful to each other. And when I say there wasn't one incident, there wasn't. Like, everybody was just singing at the top of their lungs, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful moment to have kind of a rough situation turn into something that is not something you would see every day.
Yeah. It was great. It was fun to see. It was a feel good viral moment if
Yeah,
anybody saw it on the internet. Would you and Shinedown, if asked, ever play the Super Bowl halftime show?
yeah,
Yeah.
easy,
Because I don't think
totally.
you actually, it's tracked, right? And I don't think you get paid for it. Like, that matters, but I
And it
don't,
doesn't matter.
I think it's tracked though, right?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I know that the highest attendance was last year with Rihanna, which I love that her pyrotechnics were she was pregnant. That's a true boss.
Yeah, I said that the other
boss
day.
right there, man. That's a different level of boss.
You can't beat that prop. I said
Yeah,
that.
and it's not going to matter. Nobody's ever going to beat that anyway. Like, it's unbeatable. Like, that's just a boss move. So, and also, by the way, flying on a platform that literally she wasn't tied into or anything. I'm like, this woman is a real life superhero.
Right.
And so, but I saw rumors that like Usher was doing it this year.
Yeah, Usher's doing it this year. Like, everybody likes.
Hey man, I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
Usher's a bad mofo.
Mhm.
Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Usher is an incredible performer.
If he asked you and Shinedown to join him as a surprise guest, would you?
In a heartbeat.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat.
I think that the Super Bowl halftime show has to be a montage of artists,
Yeah, I mean, in my part, like, I loved Rihanna's Super Bowl, but man, that West Coast Super Bowl was out of control. Mm-hmm. Like, that was awesome. But I also remember, I can't remember what year it was. I think it was either Beyonce or it was Bruno Mars, but Bruno Mars got Chris Martin from Coldplay, Beyonce, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, like you're talking about, a little bit more eclectic.
Right. Yeah. It happened like 2001 or 2002. I always go back to that. It was Aerosmith, Nelly, NSYNC, Britney, Missy Elliott, I think might have been there, but it was a lot of fun. And you had your rock and you had your roll. It was cool like that. I thought that was fun. All right. Well, I've taken up too much of your time, and I know that because it started light behind you and now it's dark. So
I know it happens, my man. I appreciate you let me come on a little bit later, man. Let me handle some of my business. I love you, my friend. I can't wait. I'm so stoked you're coming to Vegas.
Yeah, wife and I are gonna fly out there. It's only a quick trip, so I get to see you guys, and I get to see Papa Roach and Spirit Box for the first time, and enjoy a couple days in Vegas. And as always, dude, I'm very proud of you guys. I'm very proud of you. Love you guys a lot. And the current single.
Love you back, man. Thank you for everything. We adore you.
Thank you. A symptom of being human is it's a great song, but it's an even better message.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You take that the right way. So the latest album, Planet Zero, it is Brent Smith of Shinedown. Brother, man, do your business. Thanks for all the time, and I'll see you and talk to you soon, okay?
I love you, my friend. I'll see you soon.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
On 98 Rock.